Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cinema Savvy. It is myself, George, joined once more by Tate, and bringing back to the channel Aaron, who has been covering for me recently. Do I say bringing back? He's been here more than me. I'm the one coming back to have a discussion on everything we've been watching in the month of May 2024, the monthly stream where we chat about what we've been watching, TV, film, see where the chat takes us, all that sort of stuff. But before I get into anything, how are we all doing today?
Yeah, doing okay. It's really hot here at the moment, so I've got the Dalek rotating in the background. So if anyone wonders why it's spinning to face the camera every now and then you'll know kind of that it's hot and need to cool it down. So
yeah, I'm doing good. It feels like just the other day that I was there, but yeah, I'm doing all right. Got a lot to talk about in terms of what I've seen, but yeah, not really much else to add on that. I don't know where I was going with that.
It's absolutely fine. And for everybody watching at home, please do comment with what you've been watching. Any shows you recommend, films you recommend, maybe something's cropped up in the last couple of days or there's a new release you're excited for. Do comment and get involved. We'll read them out. And of course, if you're not watching it live, we'll be able to chat about them later on. If you leave a comment, we'll reply to them. But seeing as it's been a while since I've been on the live stream, me and Tate were working it out. It has been since the start of April. Which feels a lot longer ago than what it actually was. I am going to talk about my April films as well because there were two, which sort of gives a sign as how absent I've truly been in the last few weeks. But yeah, for anyone not familiar, we'll go through everything we've been watching. We'll have a chat. We might have some crossovers. We probably will have some crossovers. But we'll also have maybe some films people have never heard of, films people are familiar with, maybe we've seen a classic for the first time, and we've all chat about them as well. But guys, if it's okay, I'll go first. We haven't planned this out, only because my list is short. So, as I said, let's go back to April. April the 6th, that was the Saturday, because I was watching films then. First film watched of the month, Destroy All Monsters. It's basically another Godzilla film. It's like the Avengers Endgame of 60s Godzilla films, where all they all come together. I'm recalling my memory now because it's been almost 2 months, but basically it's set like 50, 100 years in the future. So obviously, that's, I guess it'd be near a modern day. And the plan is for them all just to die and kill each other out. From memory, it was entertaining. It was weird. And it took me about an hour to realize that it was set in like the year 2000 or something. Because I was like, this looks a bit different to all the Godzilla films I've been watching. But you kind of, at this point in time, you know what you're going to get with the Godzilla films. Now, I haven't seen one since, and my goal is to watch all 40 by November, so I probably need to get a move on because I think I was averaging like 2-3 a month, which was like good to do it across the year, but I'm very far behind. So that was what I watched. And then, sorry, I'm laughing because the second thing I've watched is just on Letterboxd. I don't know if this is allowed to count. I love putting a film on when I'm ironing or something, or football or whatever. The greatest behind-the-scenes documentary in all documentaries, and somewhere there'll be a Lord of the Rings person screaming that I've just said this. The making of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
I thought you were going to say it was Hearts of Darkness then for a second. I was like...
This is the... if anyone's never seen it, it's incredible. It was released on the DVD back when Phantom Menace came out, and it is available on Star Wars' YouTube channel. And I really recommend people watch this. It documents from the moment Lucas is writing and working on the screenplay through to the midnight launches in America. And what this does, you know how whenever you watch a behind the scenes these days, right, it's the standard YouTube feature at 2 minutes long. You didn't really get proper documentaries. This is everything. It has Qui-Gon's fake wig disappearing in the sunsets in Tunisia. It has storms destroying all the pod race sets they spent years making. It has the entire crew, like your high-ups, your Lucases, your producers, watching the Phantom Menace with their head in their hands for the very first time. 66 minutes.
Is that the one where George Lucas is like, I think I've gone too far with this one?
Yes, it is. It's genuinely worth it. And the thing is, and I say this, like, for anyone that's ever been on a set as well, like, things don't run smooth like what we see on YouTube with featurettes and stuff. And it's quite incredible that we got something as honest as this. It's still a really good documentary. It's got the other actors that almost were Anakin. It's got the screen test. It's got like Natalie Portman. It's got everything you want visual effects of John Nolan, his team, Doug Chang heading up all the previs. It's a really good documentary, and I watched that for an hour when I was ironing because it was building up to the obvious the May the 4th re-release. Heading into my May watches, there's going to be a theme. Saturday the 4th of May, The Phantom Menace, the BFI IMAX. You can look at that 20th anniversary special for more details on that day. Sunday the 5th of May, Phantom Menace in 4DX. Also look at the same video for my thoughts on that. That wasn't it for May. It almost was. There's a new Planet of the Apes film, for those unfamiliar. I'd forgot it was coming out. Again, I've not really been on the ball with more important things happening. And I forgot to rewatch the trilogy before, which is one of my favorite trilogies in all of cinema. So I literally, with an hour notice, went to the cinema, watched Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I really enjoyed it. It's a good opening film for a potential new trilogy. And if, like the last one, if they build off the first one, then there's a lot of potential, and I'm in. It's still very tricky to follow up the last trilogy because after that, I did go and rewatch the others. I rewatched them across 2 weeks, 3 films, which sort of shows how bad it is at the moment. Rise, Dawn, and War are still all incredible. I'd say they enhanced Kingdom, so it was actually quite interesting watching it the wrong way around. I should have really done War, then Dawn, then Rise. But this week, Bad Ape has been the center of meme folklore. I don't know why, but it's gone into the general public eye, and I'm all here for it. So a lot of Planet of the Apes love. And then what else I watch other than Planet of the Apes? Furiosa, the press screening. There's a review on the channel. I liked Furiosa, and sorry, I'm laughing at this because the only other 2 films I watched were Star Wars 2 and Star Wars 3, which I spoke about a million times on the channel before. So
Yeah,
there's not really much to add to that. But I will add very briefly, TV-wise, I did watch Fallout in April, which I absolutely loved. And I have since gone and replayed Fallout 4. I got past where I got to in 2015. I've now, I think, finished the main story. And I'm now just killing randomers for fun. So Fallout, I recommend for those who haven't seen it yet. Aside from that, I don't have anything else. I've seen the first episode of The Acolyte, but that'll go up on Tuesday.
Yeah. I mean, with Fallout, I think I touched on it last time with saying kind of I completed it or was one episode left maybe. It's a fantastic series, and it just shows that, you know, we had a discussion on the channel a while ago, which was all about what games should be adapted into TV series, into things. And I can't remember whether Fallout was even mentioned, but, you know, we've had Fallout. I mean, Christ, we've had more Sonic the Hedgehog films since then. We've had
There's an anime Lara Croft soon, isn't there? I saw something on the news this week.
Apparently, we've got a BioShock series being done by Netflix, which I'm really excited about. So it seems like, you know, video games are being taken a bit more seriously in the TV and film realm. I mean, one of the films I watched this month was I finally managed to go and watch Five Nights at Freddy's, which was, for what it was, okay. It was completely okay. It was completely fine. Nothing too seriously bad about it. It's really cheesy. It's like Saw for kids, but it's, you know, it's completely fine. But it's just kind of showing that video games are starting to be taken a bit more seriously as far as kind of, you know, TV and film is concerned, which I quite like because I feel like they've got a lot of stories to tell.
Yeah, I'm slacking when it comes to TV shows. I've not seen Fallout. I've not seen Shogun. There's a ton of stuff I haven't seen.
I haven't seen Shogun. Good reminder. Sorry.
Shogun either. Yeah, thank
you. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I need to watch Fallout because I've only played. I've played a little bit of Fallout 4, but I got into like one of the early missions and one of the enemies didn't spawn, so I physically couldn't finish the mission to carry on with the game. So my copy of it's knackered and I'd have to start from scratch again. So that's my experience with the game. But with the show, I've not seen it yet, but I've heard everyone saying how good it is. But I do need to watch it. Yeah. That's about all I can really add to that because I just haven't seen it.
I know they've greenlit season 2. That's the only thing I guess I can add. I don't know if that was known a month ago, but that Jonathan Nolan obviously involved in that. And I saw Walton Goggins did a really funny interview where he starts talking about how Oppenheimer's Christopher Nolan, which is pre-nuclear and post-nuclear, is his brother. I was like, wow, One of them is based off real life. Yeah, so far, you never know. We've got another 50 years till the events take place.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's all I've watched. Life's in the way, and you guys have been bailing me out with videos, so thank you both for that. I guess I've been playing Fallout, but we don't do gaming. That was a one-off. But, yeah, I'm going to hand over. Is there any other TV I've watched? No, there really isn't. I'm catching up to wrestling. Does that count as TV? Pay-per-views?
Live event. I mean, the end of the Premier League, which was a disappointment for everyone involved. Apart from
this,
that,
Dora the Explorer was on the Champions League coverage last night. That was the crossover.
Yeah, I saw that, and it made no sense.
She was on the CBS. She was teaching Jamie Carragher how to pronounce Internazionale. That's another film people just clicked off. Good luck to Euro starts in just under 2 weeks.
Yeah, I was going to say. Okay, I guess I'll go next. I've had a wild month. I've watched a lot of films. I've watched 21 films this month, and some of them are new releases, things that I didn't actually think that I would go and watch and ended up watching. And the biggest notable omission from here is the fact that I did all 3 Planet of the Apes last month and didn't actually get to go and see Kingdom this month. The reasoning why is because of my work schedule. I work mostly in the evenings, and the only times that they were showing Planet of the Apes was from 3 o'clock onwards at my local cinema, which would mean I'd finish at 6 and I'd be starting work by then. So it's been really frustrating that I haven't been able to go and see it. I think it's still showing in some cinemas at really random times. I'm hoping that it's showing this Tuesday, as I do have time off. But I'll be perfectly honest, if it's really nice weather, I'm not going to go sit in a cinema and watch King of the Planet Apes. I'm probably going to be outside doing something. But apart from that, I did go and see, or I did manage to see a bunch of new releases this month. So, In the Land of Saints and Sinners. Has anyone heard of In the Land of Saints and Sinners?
That the Netflix film.
It is the Netflix film, yes, with Liam Neeson playing a troubled Irish assassin who goes home and kills someone in his local community who he shouldn't have killed, and he plants a tree every single time he kills someone. And surprisingly, it's actually quite an entertaining film. Because he's a bit older now, Neeson is playing a bit more of a kind of nuanced character, and it's a bit like, best way of describing it is not quite that level of acting, but it's a bit like Logan. It's like seeing an actor grow old and grow into a character, and this is as if his character from Taken is a bit older, retired, and doesn't really have any kids. That's basically the character that we see in Land of Saints and Sinners. It was pretty good. Late Night with the Devil was fantastic, and I'm so glad I managed to watch it. Highly recommend. I'm not going to spoil it. I think it's probably one of my favorite horror films I've seen in recent years.
I saw that at London Film Festival last year. It's fantastic. Yeah.
It wasn't what I was expecting. Thoroughly loved it. Got very heavy kind of Demon, is it 43 Black Mirror vibes, or Demon 47 or whatever it's called, that episode.
I know what you mean.
Very, very good. New releases. The Fall Guy was okay. It's fine. It's completely fine. It's cheesy. It's funny. It's an action film, but it does not take itself seriously at all. You have to suspend belief, and you're okay with it. And I was fine with it in that sense. Snack Shack, which might be probably outside of Late Night with the Devil, my favorite new release of the month. I have no idea where you can actually go and watch this. I managed to see it, and it's fantastic. It's got the guy who played young Spielberg in The Fabelmans in it.
Oh,
okay, Gabriella Bell. And it's about basically setting up a snack stand in American summer, and it's a brilliant little coming-of-age story. It's fantastic. It's got, moments of dark humor. It's got moments of, really light kind of fun humor. The characters are really well put together in this film. It's very fun. I think people will enjoy it when they're able to go and see it. Then new release, Furiosa, which I'm going to go ahead and say it's closer to the original Mad Maxes than it is to Fury Road, and that caught me off guard. And I did enjoy it. And I want to see kind of what George Miller does now from here. You'd expect, expand the universe. I mean, was it Mad Max Wasteland's been the name thrown around for years? Axed? Or I based off reports of the last week, what would be the Wastelands official job title, well, not job title, development title is because of Furiosa box office, which, oh god, Aaron's like, oh god, here we go, box office talk. Personal inside joke there. Furiosa is, I don't know if it's cataclysmic bombed, but the modern audience is not there for it. Mad Max is, but the problem is Mad Max never had a big audience. Fury Road just, I think, it opened to average numbers and just had legs. But Warner Brothers have this obsession of just chucking stuff online after 2 weeks.
So with Fury Road, I completely understand why people kept on going back to it, and it gained traction, it gained momentum, because it was a non-stop action film. I rewatched it this month, and I completely forgot entire sequences. I completely was blown away once again by the action. If you give it a while, it will blow your mind again if you go back and watch it. So that was the thing where kind of, if they ever say, oh, we're going to re-show Mad Max Fury Road in cinemas, I'm going, yes, get me a ticket. I want to go see that on a big screen again. The problem with Furiosa is it's a fantastic story. It's a great tale. It's got great acting. It does have good action, but action isn't the main centerpiece and beat of this film. This film is a revenge story and really plays heavily on that. And the action sequences are few and far between. They don't last very long, and they're not to the same kind of level as they were in Fury Road, where it was literally action sequence leads into new action sequence, leads into new action sequence. This has a lot of exposition. It has a lot of backstory. It builds the character around it and puts a lot more detail into its characters. So if you like world building, that's fine. But this won't have the legs in the box office, and clearly doesn't have the word of mouth, because it's not that punchy action beat that the previous Mad Max film was. It's kind of the, oh, let's take a step back. We'll show you some action, but also we want to tell the story here. And I don't think the people who enjoyed Mad Max Fury Road, the majority of them, enjoyed it for the story. They enjoyed it for the non-stop violence and action. And that's what's missing from Furiosa. It's that entire demographic of people who would have gone back to go and watch it again to go and see one specific action sequence. Whereas Furiosa, I watched it, I thought, that's a great film. I'm now not going to watch this film for like 5-10 years because now I know the story. And I'll be perfectly honest, the action sequences didn't blow my mind to the point where I go, yeah, I need to go back and watch the sequence where they're on the rig and they've got the things flying above and stuff like that. Whereas with Fury Road, I go, yeah, I want to watch the entire film again because it's a massive action sequence and you can pick out which parts were the best and stuff like that. And I completely get it. I think the story is better in Furiosa. But that's me as a regular film goer. That's me as a person who goes online and talks about film. For a person who enjoys action films and who learn through word of mouth, the general kind of audience goer who buys a cinema ticket once a month, they won't go and see that film because it's not being hyped up as much in that sense of action.
Can I tell you the general audience member, aka my dad?
Yeah.
There's a new Mad Max film out. Yeah. It's Tom Hardy. No. Who's playing Mad Max? He's not in it. Why are they making it then? And that's someone that's not into film. But and people need to realise this. And I don't mean this because I liked Furiosa, but we are, as you said, we're part of like film, Twitter, whatever we want to be. Like, we're within the industry. You are selling a Mad Max film to people without Mad Max, and that is a tricky sell because Mad Max is the series. It's not Marvel. It's not Star Wars. It's not a combined universe of characters. It's not the Wastelands. It was a Mad Max series. It would be like
Star Wars with no war or stars.
This John Wick, the ballerina, right? Okay, that's maybe unfair, but like, no, it works. They did that TV series, the John Wick, the Continental. Was John Wick in it? No, no one watched it. Yeah, the cast have come out, as in the cast, like the OG John Wick cast, and we're like, none of us watched it too.
Yeah.
So that, and I'd really like Furiosa, and it's sad to mock it, but that's the reality: is that you can't. People aren't going to go and watch the new Mad Max film. Mad Max isn't in it.
No.
And it was even like for me, like opening the review, I was like, it's so weird. I don't want to put Furiosa review dashed in a savvy because it's like you have to put Furiosa a Mad Max saga. Like, it's never really been a saga. And I love the original, well, the first two Mad Max films and Fury Road. And I really liked Furiosa. I always think 9 years between films is a lot. I know they did decades on the other one, But again, like it's very different, and I really do like this film. And there's some really good stuff in it. I had an easy weekend in May for it to come out. It had a great reviews, but again, the general audience interest isn't there, and it's a shame because the film loses out, and so do future Mad Max films. And some people are like, "This is really unfair. This isn't cinema." I was like, "Well, you do have to make money sometimes. Certainly, franchises. Now, this isn't Tomorrowland failing equals no real Tron 3. Here, have your B-Tech Jared Leto one 10 years later instead. You know, that's wrong. Like, Tomorrowland shouldn't have dictated a third Tron film. But I understand Furiosa not dictating another Mad Max film if it's not directly called Mad Max as well.
Yeah.
Just my initial thoughts. We've got Michael saying it's a good thing to focus on the story. I agree. And Mad Max is always about the first 3 Mad Max films are completely different. The first one's a drama, the second one's an action film, the third one's outrageous, and the fourth one's Fury Road.
Yeah,
like, and the fifth one's this. So I like spending time in the wasteland, but I don't think I think that'll be it. I think we'll get it in the games down the line. I know maybe George Miller said to Kojima he wants him to do one, which is really funny.
Open world game would be fantastic. Just saying. Like
proper,
I know they had,
Fallout.
They
I mean, so much of Fallout was borrowed off Mad. So much of, I guess, not just Fallout, like the post-apocalyptic stuff has been borrowed from Mad Max over the years, and I could see a game in the next 10 years easily. I could see not George Lucas, sorry. I could see George Miller like treatments and designs going to game developers for them to try and do something.
So I'm going to rattle through a bunch of films that were rewatches and stuff like that. So, for example, Deadpool 2 and Dark Phoenix. I still haven't seen New Mutants. That's going to be the last one that I'll watch before completing it before Deadpool and Wolverine. I haven't seen New Mutants, so that's going to be a new film experience for me. I'd seen all the others, so that was fine. I mentioned Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm watching it for the first time. That was very interesting. Thought that was fine. Episode 1, did manage to go and see it in the cinema. I didn't manage to see it in 4DX, which is a shame. But, you know, first time seeing that film on a big screen since... I saw Attack of the Clones in cinemas. I didn't see Phantom Menace, too young. But, yeah. Absolutely brilliant to see it on a big screen, and I can't wait for the other anniversaries to come around and show them in cinemas. And a few good years of Star Wars coming out in cinemas are coming up soon. Although I will be waiting with bated breath for episode 3.
Well, here's the predicament. Next year's the 20th anniversary of 3, and that'll be a big thing at Celebration. But because they've gone all out in Phantom Menace is 25th, does that mean they're not gonna, outside of Celebration, do anything till the 25th? I think so. Sorry, that's a really random switch, but
other films, just random rewatches. Puss in Boots: Last Wish, still holds up. Great animation, great film. Jumper. I needed a bit of Hayden Christensen this month. I didn't see any of the other Star Wars, so that's such a fun little film. I remember seeing it in cinema in Leicester Square, and it's such a fun little film. Like, we've never really talked about it on the channel, have we? But
I've never seen it. I remember it coming out. I remember it coming out because everyone was like, "Oh my god, there's a Hayden Christensen film that isn't Star Wars."
It's got Samuel L. Jackson in it as well. It's like,
is it? I know that his ex-wife. Well, I don't think it's going anymore. Hayden Christensen's partner is in that, or wasn't that, or
I have no idea. Who was the female lead in the film? Jamie Bell's in it. Rachel Bilson.
That's the one. Her and Hayden were together for many years after. So there's a bit of a nice story in there. And now he's back as Anakin Skywalker, so we won.
Do you know who directed it?
Isn't it Doug Liman?
It's Doug Liman.
Yeah.
Which,
it's not bad.
It's not
I
bad.
can't believe Sam Jackson's in it. I just remember it being like the only Hayden Christensen film. And I remember him at Soccer Aid a couple of years ago, and he scored a penalty.
So I rewatched the Dungeons and Dragons, which was once again fantastic. I really want a sequel to that. I hope that gets crowdfunded or something like that, or anything. Just throw money at that film, throw money at the franchise. It's great. The Big Sick, because I wanted to watch a comedy, and that was quite good. Have you both seen The Big Sick?
No.
Is that the Oscar one from years ago?
It's the Kamal Nanjiani one, isn't it?
It is the Kamal Nanjiani.
Oh, no, I've not seen The Big Sick. Sorry, I was getting mixed up with that Christian Bale.
The Big Short, yeah.
Big Short,
sorry. No, I've heard of Big Sick, but I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah,
I think they both came out at the same time as well, so...
Around about the same time, maybe the same yearish. The Menu, which my dad had never seen before and he thought was hilarious and fantastic. I really enjoyed The Menu. And then, quite a sad one, I rewatched Super Size Me, which quite a controversial documentary for very multiple reasons. But Morgan Spurlock, the man who made Super Size Me, directed it, starred in it, put himself through it, died recently of cancer, which is, a shame as a documentary filmmaker to put yourself on the line like that and, basically put your body and your health on the line to make a documentary to try and help the little guy as much as possible and go up against such a juggernaut and a giant such as the fast food industry, let alone one of the biggest names in the fast food industry with McDonald's. It's a fascinating rewatch. I had seen it before. And I guess it's quite poignant because, the stats that were shown in the documentary about, childhood obesity and all of those numbers and stuff like that have risen since then. The world has not got better. And it's one of those kind of, it's available on Prime if people wanted to go and watch it. But yeah.
I remember watching it at school.
Yeah, I watched it in food tech for some reason, which is not the best place to watch. Not the best place to watch it.
Hey guys, you're going to go cook something this week, but in the meantime, here's Super Size Me.
We're going to recreate that meal.
To be fair, obviously, I'm going back like 10 years now, but I remember hating it, and I wasn't fat at school. I put my weight on after school. I'm just going to say this as a counterpoint, but it was like, I guess at that point, the American McDonald's is very different to UK McDonald's. When I went over there, I think I was in Chicago, and it was the day I went to the Dark Knight spots and Sears Tower, and I was like, oh, can I just get standard for us Fanta? And it was like sweet and sour sauce levels of yellow. And the shit they put in all there, I knew it was bad in America, like Furiosa, but the sizes and the portions, like that. I mean, I could state, but fucking hell. The amount of they pump like chemicals and shit into their meat, don't they? But there is, Mackey's is a weird one. When was it? 04, 03 time? It was. I swear it was around the time of Gordon Ramsay, Jamie Oliver in Massacre Our School Dinners.
2004. Yeah, we've never regained turkey twizzlers after that.
What monster? We saw a great video, of Jamie Oliver showing all the kids how chicken nuggets are made, and he goes, "Who still wants one?" The entire room put their hands up, and you just see his face split into like golden. We'll never forget.
Yeah, I watched Godzilla -1 last night. Amazing. Do you know what? And this is the thing. People may.
Did you watch subtitled?
I did. I watched it subbed. People know that this blank wall over here has a reason why there's no decorations or nothing on it at all, apart from the random Cinema Savvy merch I've got there. I have a projector here, and I still need a better sound system for it, but watching that on the projector in my little home cinema was fantastic last night and a thoroughly great experience. And I wish I was able to catch it on the big screen because, my God, how that effects team was able to do that on such a low budget and just... the sound design and everything about it is it's a Godzilla film with an actual good human character story. It's fantastic. Blows any of the big monster films from recent years out of the water in terms of it. And I'm kind of excited to see kind of how they build off it, whether they're going to use kind of its fame and its thing, or whether it's just going to be a one-off kind of as it is, not retell the story, not revisit any of the characters, anything at all.
What was the budget for -1?
They originally said under 15 million, and the rumour's now 6 million.
Yeah.
But obviously, I will add this. As much as I love it, the labour costs, like that exact film, the exact same way, same everything, is still remarkable. I bet an American budget, that would be maybe 30 mil, which is still incredible.
So I did a bit of research on it last night, and they're saying 15 million, but that counts as... some of their advertising for their Oscar campaign and all of that, which you can't really count in the initial budget because the initial budget I think came out at 8 million and their special effects budget was 3 million for it. But then their kind of advertising campaigning and international releases bumped it up a bit.
I'm sharing my favorite meme from a friend of the channel, Alden Diaz, and for you guys unfamiliar at home, it's the "You're crying from Godzilla -1." It's the indomitable human spirit in the will to live got me. That might not make any sense, but if you've seen it, let's talk this. I mean, with no announcement, some people are angry. I don't know why. The entire world, not just the UK, not just America, the entire world has been given Godzilla -1 on Netflix as of yesterday morning. It was announced on it was announced as it went on, and I was buzzing with this. There was a Japanese in Japan. It went on Prime Video about a month ago, so you still couldn't get a copy here. You couldn't even do a VPN because it was Japanese. So there's no subtitles.
Yeah.
So we've been waiting. There are rumored disc dates of July or August. It's so quiet. There's loads of legal stuff with Toho and Warner Brothers because Toho own Godzilla rights, and there's something like there can only be one Godzilla film a year, or if there's an American Godzilla film out, they can't release another version. So they're clearly trying to get a way to get -1 into the public domain again. I'd imagine they all just bow down and say, listen, it's the anniversary. It's clearly a good film. We'll probably let it slide. And I guess the reality is it just happened to end up this way, that 2 films came out in the space of 6 months. It doesn't happen every year. But I'm so glad it's on Netflix. So it's all over the homepage of Netflix as well. It's not just chucked on. Like, it's there. And I hope people get the chance to see it that haven't already. I spent many months hyping it up. And I hope this gives people the chance to see it. And this isn't big for Netflix, but the black and white minus color, they call it, is also going to go onto Netflix at the end of summer. But that should be available when the Blu-rays go up, which I will need to pre-order as soon as we can.
One thing about that film, Last Night in Experience, the subtitles are sometimes flashed on the screen and then disappear immediately. And that's down to Netflix. That's Netflix and their subtitling and stuff like that. So there are lines of dialogue that you completely miss, sadly. And I think people have commented online about it and said, hey, Netflix, you need to fix this immediately. But, you know, maybe give it a week and then go back and see whether the subtitles are fixed on it.
Before I speak, sorry, Aaron, have you seen it?
I have not. I'm going to try.
That's fine. I almost did a spoiler. I wanted to check. Yeah, that was why.
That's all right. Yeah, I was debating watching it this weekend, but I might watch it next week. I do want to watch it at some point
tonight.
And then some older films which are also first-time watches, which one of them ended up being my favorite film of the month, full stop, which is very interesting. So The Sting, 60s film, rubber. Yeah, it's a decent film. It's a swindling film. I wanted to watch a film that was like Ocean's 11, but wasn't an Ocean's 11 film, and this was the film before then, basically, apart from the original Ocean's film. So
Ocean's 11's great.
Ocean's 11's great.
Any excuse to watch Ocean's 11's great.
Before Sunset, which is a great little 90-minute 2 or 3 scenes love story, brilliant follow-up to the previous Before Sunrise. I'm slowly getting through that trilogy. I've got Before Midnight as my next film. Going through Linklaters there. LA Confidential, which I had never seen before. Fantastic, really enjoyed it. It's one of those where it's always been on my list. It's been on my list.
Now you've seen it, and it's actually lived up to the hype.
It has lived up to the hype. It's a fantastic film. It's got a great cast and it's really well put together. However, my favorite film of the month, old or new, was actually Tim Burton's Big Fish, which I'd never seen before. And not only is it Tim Burton's best film, full stop, genuinely, and it doesn't really have too many Tim Burtonisms in it. It isn't like, wacky and wild like, Beetlejuice. It isn't, like looking forward towards kind of like Willy Wonka, where it's kind of zany over the top and stuff like that. This film knows exactly what it is, and it sticks to those guns as a storytelling film for storytellers. Big truths, big lies, but, just riding the line to make life a little bit better. And it stars Ewan McGregor in it. It has random cameos from various different people, famous actors and stuff like that. I could pull up the list and just go through, like Billy Crudup, Helena Bonham Carter, Marion Cotillard's in it. You've got Danny DeVito, Steve Buscemi. It's got such a long kind of cast list and stuff like that. But it is such a fantastic film. It's a love story. It's a story of, a father and a son reconnecting. And it's a story of birth, life, and death. And it's put all together in such a fantastic way, told in mini truths and mini lies. And it's so well put together. And I thoroughly loved it. And I highly recommend people go and watch it.
I've not seen The Big Fish. I had a friend I met at Red Carpet once. Is when we met Ewan, and he had The Big Fish signed by like pretty much the whole cast, and it's just like massive name after massive name. But that is interesting because a lot of people say it's one of Tim Burton's best films, but not enough people talk about it because they will go to the obvious ones like Beetlejuice, not Planet of the Apes, obviously, just to plug Watch Planet of the Apes here. it's like, oh, you think about the typical Tim Burton films, and that doesn't seem to be up there. But everyone that seems to see it will have it up there.
I think it's because it feels more like a Coen Brothers film. It feels like Oh Brother Where Art Thou if Tim Burton directed it, basically, is the best way of putting it. It's not really a Tim Burton film, only in name. It's like watching like Rushmore from Wes Anderson. There's only certain scenes where you feel like it's a Wes Anderson film. The rest of it feels like a normal film. It's fantastic. I highly recommend it. I really do highly recommend it.
I need to watch that because it's one of my... There's a couple of blind spots with Tim Burton for me, like that and Ed Wood. But it's all like I think, like George said, like it's one that everyone always talks about, but like at the same time, no one's heard of it, and it always kind of intrigues me that in that sense, because it's like, well, if it's so beloved, then because most people go to like Beetlejuice, Edward Scissorhands, and all that, so it is quite interesting because I do want to watch it at some point.
I mean, if we ever do a Tim Burton retrospective.
Oh, fucking hell. Did they just do a trailer for didn't they do a trailer for season 2 of the
Wednesday?
Wednesday, that's it. I swear I saw something on Instagram the other week.
There was a teaser.
We have had a request from people to do more retrospectives. It's just not planning them. It's tricky.
When is Beetlejuice coming out?
November,
September.
But he's done way more films. We'd already be behind.
Oh yeah. He has a very large list of films, but yeah.
I did have an idea. I had an idea for a mini series. It'd be, I mean, at my saying next, we can't do it thanks to the numbers. But you know how people talk about the 12 Days of Xmas? See, we've been talking about Deadpool. I was like, imagine if we did the 12 Days of X-Men. However, there's 13 X-Men films, so unfortunately, we can't do that.
We can ignore some of them, right?
Well, if you ignore one, you can do it. And you just pick the New Mutants for the sake of New Mutants. But
yeah,
that's the one you've not seen.
Yeah.
It was weird. That was a weird film. It wasn't anyone's fault in it. It just got stuck in the post-Disney buying 20th Century Fox development, non-release hell and COVID for like 5 years.
Yeah.
But Tate, any other films before we head over to Aaron?
That's it. That's all my films for the month.
No one let me forget about it. I'm going to talk about Cineworld at the end because I need to talk about this. I'm looking at something today. Aaron, what have you been watching? Yeah, the floor's yours.
Blimey, okay. I watched, according to Letterboxd, I watched 16 films in May, which it felt like more, but I guess 16 is the number. You'll notice that the quality of mine gets gradually better, so we have to wade through a lot of crap first. So I started the month with Unfrosted, the Jerry Seinfeld Pop-Tart film, and it is... I did a short little TikTok explaining this because there seems to be a trend recently of comedies where like they're just not funny, and I feel like the filmmakers are the only ones that got the joke. Like there's Unfrosted, there's Ricky Stenicki, and then there's Drive Away Dolls, which are like 3 films where like they're meant to be funny, but I don't think anyone other than the people that made the film actually found it funny. And Unfrosted is like the best example of that. There are some jokes that work, but for like 99% of it, you're just sitting there with a like stone cold expression on your face, just not. It's not.
Is it like the Cheetos one from last year?
I never actually watched that, so I don't actually know what the general consensus for that one was, but it gives off the same vibe as the Cheetos
one. The vibe that I've got from seeing the trailers for it and seeing a few clips from it is. The Weird Al film, but the Weird Al film completely knew what it was and was in on the joke, but it looks like these films tried to replicate that, but are definitely on the outside of the joke.
There's a couple of moments in Unfrosted where like it tries to do one thing and then it tries to do another thing and it doesn't quite know what it's wanting to do. Like there's one entire scene which is dedicated to a cameo and reference to Mad Men, which is a show that's not been on air for years. And you wouldn't know it's Mad Men. Like I didn't realize it was a reference
to that.
But
like Mad Men isn't. I know it's set back in like the 60s and stuff like that, but it isn't even a show until like further on.
No, it honestly didn't make any sense because like it comes at the point in the film where they're trying to like think of a way of marketing the Pop-Tarts and naming them, and then all of a sudden the Mad Men reference comes in, and it was halfway through the scene I realized, oh god, why are they doing this? Like, it finished in like 2013. No one talks about Mad Men anymore. It's a weird film. It's weird. I recommend people to watch it just so they've watched it, but it's not a fun watch by any, by any means. Then I watched a film that seems to be going under loads of people's radar, and it's called Land of Bad, which is a Prime exclusive starring Liam Hemsworth and Russell Crowe. It's not an amazing film, but for like a roughly 2 hour, like intense balls to the wall, just Michael Bay style action film, you pretty much get your money's worth. There's a lot of like Zack Snyder style slow mo, but it's actually done pretty well, and it's an entertaining watch for what it is. And I do wish more people would talk about it. Then I rewatched episode 1, Phantom Menace. It somehow gets better for me, that film, on rewatch. It just feels like it goes by a lot quicker every time I watch it. Yeah, I like it. Then I watched Elektra for the first time.
Phantom Menace. You've been building it. You finished yours. I'm on that. I've just finished part 3 before we went on.
Mine is. I don't know if you can see where my.
I kind of see it in the background. Yeah,
it is the most fiddliest bloody set I've ever built, and I built the bloody Disney 100 camera, and that was fiddly. But
I have
one is.
Sorry to interrupt. I may be rewatching a certain trilogy this month because I have ordered the Lego Barad-dûr, and to Lord of the Rings fans, they're creaming themselves. Basically, the giant fucking lie. And I've ordered it. I'm going to build it either this month or next month when I've got some time off work because I just need a break. And I probably will have to rewatch Lord of the Rings at the same time. And I have picked up the box set on 4K, but it's over there. You can't see it. So it's all. I'm going to come on the next stream as a fucking goblin.
I was going to say, George, you're going to have to watch the extended, otherwise, the internet.
I have got the extended.
I was going to say, if you watch just the regular version, they're going to be so angry.
When I saw them announce that, I was like, "Oh, I really want to buy that." But then at the same time, I have no space back there for any more sets, so I've got to like restrain myself from now on. I don't mind saying this. I had the Blu-ray box set signed by Peter Jackson, Vigo, and Ian McKellen, and I've sold that, and now I've bought the Lego Barad-dûr, so I know who's winning. It's me. But yeah, I never normally sign autographs. I was like, I want this Lego set, and I have the box set on Blu-ray and on 4K, and I don't really want to meet. And I've met a lot of Lord of the Rings cast like through my friends at conventions, so it's like I don't really care about having this box set signed by like 3 of them because I've met them and they're cool and they're nice, but autographs don't really mean as much these days. So I sold that, bought Lego Barad-dûr, and now I'm going to build a giant eye. Which I'm not gonna lie, like, listen, I'm not a big Lord of the Rings fan, but the design of that I've always loved. And the Uruk-hai theme is one of the greatest themes in cinema, and for some reason everyone talks about the bloody Shire theme when the Uruk-hai running is far better than anything else in that trilogy. Sorry to go on Lord of the Rings tandem. We don't talk about them often on this channel, but there is the Rings of Power Season 2 trailer drops.
Yay! I'm so excited.
Another series starting, but thankfully not in June. There's like a million things coming out this month.
Another one?
Sorry, Aaron, I cut you off rudely. I'm talking about Lego. It's always a danger.
Yeah.
No, it's all right. Where was I actually?
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Phantom Menace. Sorry, I cut you off then.
No, it's all right. I rewatched Phantom Menace. I like it. I don't get. Yeah, it's good. It's good. There's not much else to say. It's still good. I then watched Elektra for the first time, and it's a bit shite.
As in Daredevil Elektra, right?
Yeah, the Jennifer Garner one, because I'm trying to like. I've seen all of the Fox Marvel films bar Fant Four Stick, and that's the last one I got to watch. And Elektra was the only other blind spot because I'm actually one of the few people that actually likes Daredevil 2003. I had somewhat high hopes going into Elektra, and then I watched it, and I'm like, this is just naff. It's just a bit naff. Unfortunately, everything cool about Daredevil, like the 2003 one, or the stuff that actually kind of works, like, Colin Farrell being nuts or the soundtrack, Elektra kind of has like the diet versions of all of that, which or it just doesn't have any of the flair that the original Daredevil
And yet,
did.
Daredevil's the one that gets the stick. Like, no one really talks about
Yeah.
Elektra. It's almost kind of forgotten.
Yeah, and that's why I get annoyed, because like Daredevil, with all of its faults, like I can recognize the issues with Daredevil, but I still thoroughly enjoy it. One, for nostalgia, and two, I rewatched it again last year, and there are still a lot of things about it that I actually think kind of hold up, as much as there's a lot that's dated about it. Whereas Elektra, I think everyone just kind of forgets it exists. It's like, oh yeah, there was a spin-off about Elektra. Oh yeah, that existed. Plus, it came out like 2 years after, when I think the hype for Daredevil kind of died down. But it's an anomaly. Elektra's a bit of an anomaly, but it's a weird film. Then literally the only press screening I went to this month was the multimedia screening of If, which again was a weird one that I didn't even expect to be going to. It's not a bad film. For a family film, it's like surprisingly emotional. It's like, the best way I can describe it is like it plays out a bit like a live action Pixar film. Like, it's got all the heart and it's got all the humor, but then it kind of sneaks in an emotional aspect near the end that kind of pulls your heart out a little bit. That's quite unexpected. It's a lot better than I was expecting it to be. Then I watched The Fall Guy. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I think, like Tate said, I like the fact that it didn't take itself too seriously. I think I've seen too many people online like really critiquing the hell out of The Fall Guy because it's, stupid and dumb, and it's basically, for all the reason it's an actually fun film. But I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I was going to say, one massive thing I want to give credit to it for is the use of practical sets and practical stunts, which they show at the end of the film throughout the credits. You see all of the stunts being done in the film and how they were made and stuff like that. You've got to respect a film like that, because as much as we all love a good old CGI punch 'em up superhero film. We love practical effects. We love the idea that people actually do things in cinema instead of being behind a screen. And this film is an amazing example of that, being able to completely go in and do all of these stunts and show off that stunt making and stunt people within the industry are still really valued people and should have an Oscar dedicated to them. That's a completely different point. But no, it's a film about a stuntman, so of course they had to do the stunts themselves, and I really I respect that.
Didn't it break the Rail record for most barrel spins in a car? I saw something like that in the news.
Yes, it did, and they actually show that in the film.
They show the role, but in the credit bit that Tate mentioned, there's like a whole bit of them celebrating because they just got the world record. It's quite a special moment, actually.
Move aside, Casino Royale.
Yeah. Also, I have to give credit to The Fall Guy, because no matter whether you love or hate the film, you cannot deny that the soundtrack isn't incredible, because the Fall Guy alone has two of my favorite needle drops I've heard in a long time. Because I knew it was going to have like that sort of 70s, 80s rock sort of thing, but then it throws two tracks in there that I wasn't expecting, and I legitimately just was like, okay, yeah, I don't care. This is like, for these few minutes, this is now film of the year. I don't care. But off the back of that, I then, because I enjoyed Fall Guy so much, I then covered a David Leitch blind spot and watched Bullet Train for the first time, which I loved. Whereas I liked The Fall Guy enough and enjoyed it, but I had a couple of issues here and there. Bullet Train, I just legitimately was on board with from the moment it started, and I loved every minute of that. Again, it's another film that doesn't take itself seriously. It can go a bit stupid at times, but again, it kind of commits to it. Plus, I love the characters of Tangerine and what was it? Tangerine and Lemon?
Yeah.
I love those two. Like I just love it. Then I watched Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Really enjoyed it. I didn't do a rewatch of the previous trilogy. I should have, because I'm a little bit rusty with remembering some of the events of War specifically. But I enjoy that trilogy a lot. I really liked Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I was a bit hesitant to begin with, but I really liked it. Then watched Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire, and it was fine. The best thing about it is Dan Stevens, without a doubt, because he just commits to like a Cockney accent that shouldn't work, but it does.
He's in a Hawaiian shirt for the whole film as well, isn't he?
I think so. Yeah, I think he's in it for my. And again, right, this confused me because Fall Guy uses what's the Kiss song? Oh,
I'm dreadful for music, sorry.
Oh God. I Was Made for Loving You, or what? The Kiss, the main Kiss song that's used God knows how many times in the Fall Guy. And Godzilla X Kong uses the exact same song, and I'm like, if I hear this song one more time, I'm gonna go nuts. I liked it in Fall Guy, but I was just like, if one more movie uses it, I'm gonna go mad. Then I watched, I guess this counts, the Queen Rock Montreal concert film that was in IMAX at the start of the year, and then they dumped on Disney Plus. Which you can also watch in the IMAX enhanced version, and it's legitimately really good. The restoration on it for IMAX is genuine, like it's so crisp, it's really good, but the music's great as well. Probably my favorite watch of the month, and it's one that I missed when it was in cinemas a couple of months ago, but I'm glad I finally watched it, is The Iron Claw. I absolutely adored that film. I had heard so many people hyping it up. And I'm unlike some people, I'm not a massive wrestling fan, which is why I was a little bit hesitant. But I love the actors enough that I heard a lot about the story, so I was like, okay, I'm intrigued enough to watch it. And I just, everything from the way it's shot to the way it's performed to the soundtrack, I just loved everything the film was trying to do. And I thought the messages on toxic masculinity was so beautifully done. I can't stop thinking about that film, and I watched it like over a week ago, and it's still not left my head. It's so good.
It's the penultimate scene that's like I was doing all right, like mentally at the cinema, and then I hit that scene. And I was like,
yeah.
But not to plug it, but there's a really there's a wrestling series I haven't watched it all, so I can't advise like on how every episode is. But it's called Dark Side of the Ring. It's basically one of the expose type series, like actual TV series, not a YouTube channel. Yeah. And it goes through like real life, like horrible things that happen behind the scenes. The plane ride from hell is a famous one where, like, I say it like casually, like old Ric Flair was like sexually assaulting women, everyone was drunk, all this batshit insane stuff. They did an episode on the Von Erich family, and I would have been a couple of years ago now, but apparently it's one of like the hardest episodes of the entire thing. Because obviously the Iron Claw had to leave out one brother. I don't know if you know about that, Aaron.
No, I wasn't aware of that.
God. Okay, right. Brace yourself. There was another Von Erich brother who was in between. Oh God, I forgot the actors' names. In between the age of the musician one and the one from the bear. And that's not really helpful.
Jeremy Allen White and the musician one was oh my God, I have his name in my head.
Dave, maybe? You know the one who... So... This other Von Erich brother was born of brittle bones, like actual like, and the dad would still make him do wrestling, and he'd always break his arms, break his legs, and he in between those two brothers dying, spoilers, not spoilers real life, but that brother commits suicide, and that's what led to Jeremy Allen White's character doing it, well, the real life one, and basically the director was like, this film is already like
dark enough.
Like we couldn't put this brother in because it just adds another like horrible thing which adds to this family. So it's like the real life story is even like worse than the film. I get why they didn't include that because that would just be like horrible to do and put in. But
because they do allude to the younger fifth brother that died. Yeah.
That was real. They never talk about what happened to him, but if anyone's curious, I think he fell. They lived in a trailer, like a caravan type thing, and he like tripped over on snow and fell into the back and got like electrocuted to death. And that was when they were all that. He was the oldest, but I think only the two others were born and were like babies or like really young. But it's like the Von Erich curse is like one of the most. It's all because the dad really. It's not really a curse. It's just the dad did all that, and
Yeah.
famously, he told the surviving brother that if he was a man, he'd have killed himself like his brothers. So that's how that relationship panned out.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's like, do you remember the Williams sisters films? Where it's like, here's Will Smith doing the whole tough dad regime. It's like, welcome to the Iron fucking Claw.
Yeah.
Zac Efron should have been nominated. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I know it's not Oscar season, but that'll be the one we look back on.
The film should have been nominated. The film
A24 fucked up.
Yeah.
Apparently, A24 got the screeners wrong when they sent them out. I
Mm.
don't know how you get it wrong, but apparently, and they put their marketing budget onto another film of theirs, which I've forgotten the title of. But it's a really good. It seems to me like I don't want to call it an Oscar film. It's a film that surpasses Oscar that a lot of casual, like, non-wrestling fans saw it, a lot of film fans saw it, and I think more people have spoken about that than a lot of the other films from this year's Oscars.
Yeah.
And I think the test of time, it'll be a film people talk about. And then Zac Efron released Ricky Stenicki. Yeah. To be fair, apparently that was filmed like 3 years ago, so it just sat on an Amazon shelf until recently. So it's recently on the shelf.
I feel like the whole Iron Claw Oscars thing, like, it's even missed potential in, like, because I thought like the direction and the cinematography were bloody brilliant as well, especially with the way, like, and the editing, with the way they like fade in. There's a scene that's like not left my head where, like, I think the three brothers are just sitting contemplating in the dressing room, and it just like fades.
The establishing shot that ends up as a close-up of that moving, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it like fades into all three of their faces all at once, and it's like you see like each of their faces in one shot, but they're all sat in different places, and it's just simple. But I think it could have easily got, maybe not a directing nomination, but like at least could have got something in like the technical department as well as the performances, because it's just such a good film. I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since I saw it, and it's just good. It's just a really good film. It's not an easy watch, but it's very good. And then I completely ruined the momentum by watching Atlas, which is the Jennifer Lopez sci-fi action film on Netflix. I don't know why I watched it.
On a music thing, she's just released a new album along with this film, and she's had to cancel her tour because not enough people bought or viewed her album.
Yeah.
And I saw one interview which she rightfully had a go at the journalists because they were asking about Ben Affleck, weren't they? When they were trying to promote a film, but she cancelled an entire tour, didn't she? I mean, I wouldn't know any of the songs, to be fair, or the films, but that's the one that Shang-Chi's in as well, isn't it?
You could name a J-Lo song, surely.
I'm not good with music. I might probably recognise a song if someone played a song.
Tonight we're going to get on the floor. What's that one called?
All I know is Jenny from the Block, and that's it.
Yeah,
that's literally, and that's classic. Like, God, I
That is
sound like
classic.
I'm a J-Lo fan. I'm not.
What's your sipper? Yes, this J-Lo classic. Of
yes, Jenny from the Block is an absolute masterpiece. Good grief. I timed that really badly with the drink.
How bad was Atlas?
It was, so I can understand why people were completely dumping all over it. At first I was like, this is not very good, and then it started to warm to me a little bit because the majority of the film depends on her trying to link a relationship with the mech suit that she's in, which has got an AI system in it. And that aspect of the film I really liked. Everything else is just as bland and generic as you could expect. The visuals are like, the CGI is the best thing about the film. But outside of the CGI and like that relationship, everything else is so run of the mill that like I've kind of already. I completely forgot I watched Atlas until I saw it on the list. And also Simu Liu is like, he's in it for like 6 minutes, and he's the main villain, and he like only shows up like properly near the end of the final half of the film, and I just feel like it's a massive waste of him. But it's just, he's all over the posters, but he's like barely in it, which is missed potential. After that, I then watched Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. That's a rewatch. I was making the Lego set of the pod race, and I was like, I need something light just on in the background. and I already know I like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, so I just shoved that on and was like, yeah, cool. And then after that, on the same day, I watched the Beach Boys documentary that went on Disney Plus. I'm a sucker for a music documentary. This one's decent. It's not the best one I've ever seen, but there is one moment in it which is like unintentionally funny that I keep having stuck in my head, because there's a bit where one of the members, I don't know who it is, seriously and legitimately says, "We went from being beach boys to beach men," and it's just it's
oh
like,
my God.
you can tell as he's saying it, is like he legitimately means that from the bottom of his heart. It's not coming across like that, but but it is. Yeah, it's a decent documentary. If you like classic rock music, then it's worth a watch. And then I ended the month with watching Furiosa, which I thought was fine. I didn't love it, I didn't hate it, but it's kind of getting worse the more I think about it, for a specific reason I won't go into. But all I will say is that me and Charlie absolutely hated it, and we spent like a good hour having sending messages with each other, kind of agreeing on a specific point of the film which we both kind of despised, and it's just kind of getting worse in my head because of it. And then I ended the month with Kenneth Branagh's Murder on the Orient Express, because why not? I don't know why I watched it.
See, I've never been a fan of the Kenneth Branagh Poirot mysteries. Didn't like any of them.
It's mad how they went from drama to parody.
Yeah.
Within one film to two film.
I've not seen his mini trilogy of Poirot films, but I've always been intrigued because, like, I do like a good murder mystery. I love Knives Out and I love Clue from 1985, and I was just intrigued to kind of see what his take on it was. And I mean, I liked Murder on the Orient Express. It wasn't amazing, but like it's miles not the worst thing I've ever seen either. But I am intrigued to watch Death on the Nile and the other one. What's it called? Death in Venice or whatever.
Venice, yeah.
Something in Venice. Something happened in Venice.
Haunting.
Death on the Nile.
Haunting in Venice. Yeah.
Death on the Nile. It's aged really bad because you've got Gal Gadot, which was bad anyway, but obviously you've got the whole Israel stuff. Then you've got Russell Brand, for obvious reasons, it's also aged bad.
And Armie Hammer's in it.
Armie Hammer's in that one as well. I feel like there's probably another person in there somewhere hiding.
I
you had the meme. It was enough champagne throws drink to fill the Nile, which was on every trailer for like 3 months. And I'm pretty sure I did a double bill with that in Belfast. It was like a Kenneth Branagh double bill at the cinema. Unintentionally, it just happened. I think they came out on the same day.
Such a big contrast of films, Jesus.
But it was like Oscar season. Like, I'd always do a double bill on a Friday. I'm pretty sure I did Belfast and then that. I'd need to double check my tickets, but I'm pretty sure they were back to back on the same day. It was like a mini Barbenheimer, but like Kenneth Branagh fest, whatever you want to call
it. I remember as soon as I finished Murder on the Orient Express, I then immediately went to see like who was in the next couple of films, just out of curiosity. And then when I saw half of the list of the cast for Death on the Nile, I was like, good God, that film is only like 2 years old, and it's already aged like milk. Like that cast. But yeah, that was the last film I watched. I did watch a couple of TV shows, not many. Currently watching Doctor Who. I've been on the last couple streams talking about that. I watched Star Wars Tales of the Jedi. I have not finished Tales of the Empire.
I did watch that. Sorry, I won't talk about it, but I watched Tales of the Empire.
Yeah, I've watched a couple of episodes of Tales of the Empire, but I need to finish it. It's just I go to watch it and then stuff comes up and I need to get around to finishing it. The main TV show that I finished in May was X-Men 97, which is one of the best first seasons of a show I've seen in a long time. I did a full video about it on my channel. I'm not bragging here, but I did a full video on my channel. Within like 2 days, it's got like 2,000 views, and I'm quite baffled by that. I know it's got like quite a following the show, but I'm surprised how many views that video's got so quickly. I mean, I'm not complaining.
There's a link in the description to your channel as well to plug that into.
Yeah, I'm not again. I'm not trying to.
Is it the first season though? Sorry, I've not seen it. It's not the first season though, isn't it? Continuation. Or
So
am I missing something obvious?
It's a weird one because, like, it is 100% a continuation of X-Men the animated series, and it addresses that right from the word go. Like, it picks up right where that ends. However, it's also its own contained thing as well. Like, I watched the animated series when I was a kid, but I haven't revisited it for years. Yeah, I went straight into this, and I followed it no problem. As it does a very good job of kind of filling you in on the gaps you need to know to then kind of get going with the series, and then it just kind of does its own thing. And as long as you know the characters already from the comics and stuff, you'll be fine going into this. But it's honestly fantastic. The animation's stunning. Like, it's very anime-esque in places, especially during the action sequences. The characters are all just still likable as they've ever been. It's very emotional in places as well, which I was not expecting, because I went in with the first couple of episodes going, "Oh, this is great," nostalgic, bringing it back exactly how you remember it. And then I won't say anything because I know some people probably haven't seen it, but like the middle of the series onwards goes really dark, and I like it in a really good way, and it pulls the rug out from under you. And I was legitimately in tears by the end of one specific episode, and I think a lot of people were, because it just kind of throws everything at you and then just kind of ends. And it's such a good show. But yeah, that's probably the big show that I finished in May. I guess this also counts as well, because it kind of bleeds into the start of May, is that I'm slowly making my way through Succession as well from scratch. So I've just finished series 1 of Succession.
You're in for a treat.
Yeah, I've heard it gets a lot better in like series 3 and 4, but like series 1, I absolutely loved it. I think it's some of the best writing I've seen in anything for a long time. Yeah, but I can't really say too much because I've only just done series 1, but I'm loving it so far, and I can't wait to see the rest.
I mean, we quite like Succession on the channel. I think it's one of those TV series that managed to kind of never lose its quality throughout its entire run, which is very rare. Very rare that shows able to have. I can't think of a single dud episode. All episodes are at least to the good level, to the good tier. So
they went out on their own terms and they didn't extend it because it got more popular. It was just the boom. By the way, this is the final season. See you in a month. And everyone's like, which is the best way to do it. I mean, I won't talk about the boys, but that looks like one was like, oh, suddenly the 5-season, 6-season joke is, they're like, no, there's going to be a lot more. I'm like, oh, okay. I love the boys and I'm excited for the new series, and they're like, I wish shows didn't always have to talk about how long are we planning for? Just take it as it comes. It should be as long as your story needs to be.
Yeah,
I do love when a show is a specific length and it knows, like, not necessarily miniseries, but like, I guess the best example is Breaking Bad. It's 5 seasons, sticks to it. It tells its story perfectly within that 5-season run, and it doesn't need to be any longer. Yeah, Better Call Saul is a great addition onto it, but like for that singular story, I mean, I can't really imagine a series 6 of Breaking Bad in any single way. I think it's perfect as is.
They did that film, but that's all they could do. It's an Aaron Paul sort of spin-off.
Yeah,
and it was okay. It was okay.
Yeah, it was a decent film.
Yeah. It's to be honest, I kind of always forget it exists, but then every now and then I'm like, oh yeah, El Camino exists. I remember that being good, but I never feel the urge to want to watch it again. Whereas with Breaking Bad, I always feel like every once in a blue moon, like delving back into it.
Exactly. Cool. I think that's everything.
Yeah, so anything else, Aaron, or was that the last of your shows?
That's the last of it. I don't think there's anything else. I've watched quite a lot today, but that doesn't count, unfortunately.
That's June.
But no, well, listen, thank you so much for coming on and for helping out this. It's been a lovely chat, and to people commenting as well. As I said, it's been a bit of a big moment, not for me, but for you guys. So thank you both for doing Doctor Who as well, and the varied picks of having a decent chat about films. I was going to talk about Cineworld very briefly. I've discovered today Cineworld is doing a 1999 throwback series. What do you call it? Release strategy?
Season.
Window? Season.
Yes.
And I have discovered that Bug's Life is in this, and there's a lot of great films. So people have a look at that if you're in the UK. Odeon's showing the Lord of the Rings extended editions this weekend as well. I say this weekend in 6 days' time. So that's actually half tempting if I can actually get there and stay awake, because I'll be 4 hours in the same seat. But there's a lot of film stuff happening. Maybe not as many new releases. There's still Inside Out. There's A Quiet Place. Acolyte discussions are going to be going live every Wednesday evening. Star Wars is. Doctor Who is going to be live every Tuesday evening. There will be a very short, 10-minute review of sorts on the third episode of Acolyte on Tuesday at 5 p.m. when the embargo lifts. Spoiler free, but again, that's a quarter of the show, so you can't really talk story. So that will go up on the channel. There is more stuff happening, and when we have that stuff to talk about, we will, of course, put it on our social medias, linktree.com/cinemasavvy. That's got our Facebook, Twitter, Letterboxd, Instagram, and Aaron as well. You mentioned your X-Men video. You've been doing Doctor Who with us. What else is going on, Aaron, at the movies on Twitter and Instagram too?
I don't know what I've planned. I've got a brand new episode of For the Love of Film dropping tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Because it's been on a bit of a hiatus for a few months because life happening. This is the first one since March, I think. The last one was Neil Vag, and this one is, who is it again? Oh god, Bella watches films. She's on TikTok, but she's also a writer for the film magazine. So yeah, that should be a good episode. And then outside of that, I don't really know, but that series is slowly coming back, and I've got a couple of episodes lined up with a few people. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
Lovely, no worries. Great to get you back on, and again, thank you for this, and of course, Doctor Who's on Tuesday. Sam is joining you for that, isn't it, Tate, as well?
Yes, should be.
So, Doctor, I have a thumbnail. Hold on, I don't know if you know about this. This is the thing of Doctor Who, right? And I've got to say this, as I am not watching the show, I am taking risky Google searches.
You have no idea what to have as your thumbnail.
If I type in Doctor Who season 1 episode 5, it comes up with 2005 Doctor Who. So yes. I have to put 2024 and everything, and this is the thumbnail. Everyone keeps saying Black Mirror, yeah. So I think I've got the gist of it without watching it.
Kind of, but not really. It makes
it's the most Black Mirror. Yeah,
it's the most Black Mirror episode. You could say that about the previous episode being kind of like Black Mirror episode as well. It's 2 Doctor Light episodes in a row, but they just happen to be 2 of the best from the series so far. So it's an interesting one.
Interesting. So people, Tuesday, check that out. That's going to be live. First 4 episodes are up on the channel. There is a Doctor Who playlist on our channel. If you scroll down, all the episodes are there. There's matching thumbnails because that's an important thing that get the OCD going. And it will be the same for the Acolyte entry of the TV series. Oh God, there's House the Dragon coming up. Yeah, yes, that one out. We've got the Bear coming later. We've got the Bear coming later this month. We've got The Boys. We've got this House the Dragon, Acolyte, Doctor Who. Blimey.
Are we in TV series?
TV savvy. We're rebranding with the odd film review. But that is going to do it for this one. So thank you everyone watching at home, for people commenting, and for you both, of course, joining me. Take care, and we'll see you on the next one.